Howdy, friends and floorheads. Episode 5 of our Fear Itself, a game by Robin D. Laws and Gareth Ryder Hand available at our friends at Pinnacle Press. A little disclaimer before we get started. This will be scary and have adult themes and maybe some violence. And if that might be too much for you, you should maybe check something else out that we do. There also is some suicide themes that have come up during the game as well. So, all right. I think we should just get started.
Jump right
So
into it.
where we left off is you had a hell of an interaction with some sort of supernatural creature. You escaped that. You escaped our notorious men in black with their unrendered, fat, milky skin, thanks to Lisa's adept job at putting a front bumper into their face. You then went to Lisa's apartment, found it ransacked. You went to Lucy's apartment. It was not touched. It was exactly as her and Randall had left it. And then you went to go see a fellow participant in the study, Miss Maggie, who was somebody we had interacted with at the very beginning of the series, and someone who had a fun phone call with Randall, I think in episode 2. And as you walked up to the steps of her brownstone, her body fell to your feet. And you guys are staring down, and you immediately recognize her. And obviously, you look up and you can see it's at least a 5-story drop from where she was because there's no open window. She must have come from the roof. You see the blood pooling below her head. But two other things are odd. One, the blood on her chest soaking through. It looks like she was stabbed maybe 7 or 8 times. In her left hand, she's on her back. In her left hand, she's still tightly gripping a bloodied knife. In her right hand, as it falls right at your feet, Randall. And the sleeve of her blouse, her house coat, is pulled up. And there's something etched or scratched on her forearm, but it's covered by the house coat, so you can't quite make it out, but it looks like something's been cut into her inner forearm. So in Fear Itself, you have a stat called Stability. And stability measures essentially your ability to keep your head together. I find I like it a little bit better than Call of Cthulhu's method. It isn't quite as touchy and get into mental illness. It strictly is just being able to keep yourself together. Currently, right now, Lucy has a stability of 1, which is down from 8. Randall is from 10 down to 2. Lisa is from 9 down to 8. And Artur is from 10 down to 5. And we're going to need a stability test. This is somebody who is, for each 4 of your characters, has kind of found a little place in each of your hearts. And between the surprise and the horror of all of this, we're going to do a stability test. So mechanically in Fear Itself, that means we're going to roll a d6. On a 4, 5, or 6, everything's fine. You're able to keep it together. You lose no stability. On a 1, 2, or 3, you're going to lose stability. And it might be the most stability loss that we've seen so far. One thing that's unique is that this is a gumshoe system. So Lucy has a stability of 1, and she could spend that 1 to bring her to stability 0, and it will give her a +1 to that roll. But what that means is that she will lose. She's guaranteed to lose the 1, and if she fails that roll, she loses a lot more. So let's start with those with the highest stability. So I'm going to start with you, Lisa. What do you want to do?
I would like to spend 2 points, please.
All right, so that's going to bring you down to 6.
Mm-hmm.
Add a +2 to your roll.
Yep, that's just 1 dice, right?
1d6, and then use the little plus minus at the very bottom. All
Nice.
right. That's a 5. 3 plus 2. Artur, you're at 5 stability.
Yeah, we're gonna spend a point.
Okay, that'll bring you down to 4. So add a +1 to your roll.
Yep.
All right, that's
Didn't
a
need it.
5 for Artur. Randall, you have 2 stability, sir.
Oh, that didn't give me any information like I was hoping. Let's spend 1.
He was hoping one of you would fail, so he knew what the stability loss was. Oh, look at Randall rolls a 6, which is
I should
becomes a
gain.
7. That puts you down to 1 stability. So really, the big question is Lucy at 1 stability.
Come on, Lucy.
I know it's like it's okay.
She's
Okay.
kept stuff together so well.
And it's just downhill from here. Oh my gosh.
You need
And
to
it's like
find Lucy a therapist. See, you should have let me take you to the hospital.
that's
They have psychiatrists there.
okay. Okay, I'ma just
What are we gonna do, Lucy?
I'm gonna spin one. I'm gonna spin
All
one.
right, let's take us down to 0.
Roll.
Look
Oh.
at you.
Oh.
Good for
All right,
now.
so on as far as stability status, at 0, you're fine, Lucy. It's when you get into the negatives that we start seeing some impact from that. So, unbelievably, all 4 of you witness this. And after everything you've been through, can somebody give me a little bit of insight for their character, how their character is not completely losing it right now?
Randall's a combat medic, and blood and gore doesn't really phase him. And if anything, he's trying to control the situation and holding people back, especially not to touch this body that just hit the ground.
And instinctively, too, Randall, I think you looked up and down the street, and right now you don't see anybody. How about what is Lisa doing? How does she keep her head about herself?
I imagine being a journalist, this is not the first suicide she's seen, or at least the first aftermath of a suicide that she's seen. So like, while this isn't an everyday occurrence for her, it's not the first.
Yeah. How about for Lucy, the one we worried about the most?
Lucy doesn't see it as a suicide because she knows something seriously wrong here.
Interesting.
After getting attacked by the drill monster, this is Miss Kinsley's been murdered to her.
Yeah. Yeah. And how about Archer?
Yeah, he instinctively thinks it's something with, her mental cognitive decline. He's saddened by it. I don't know if we can, but I would think that maybe the body drops near Lucy. I was hoping that Archer can kind of go over to her, like bolt over to her as quick as he can, and try and make a shrink roll of, maybe turning her head away from the corpse. He knows that she's been put through a lot, physically and mentally, and he's just trying to reassure her, that we're going to get through this. Things are going to be okay. Things of that nature.
I think you definitely can, because now you are able to use that shrink because she's at 0. So currently you have a 6 in shrink. Do you want to spend any of those points?
Yeah, so it's a 1. She gets 2 stability per 1 point,
Mhm.
right? I'm gonna do. I'll do 4 shrink.
Bring her up to 8.
We're gonna do 3 for her, 1 for me.
Okay. All right. So that'll bring you down to 2 shrink.
Yep.
All right. And that's Archer. It's going to put you up to 6.
Yep.
And then Lucy, you spent 2 on Lucy, so it brings her up to 4. Is that right?
3 for Lucy.
3. So 6.
Yep.
Look at that.
I imagine he's some sort of like elderly grandfather figure trying to ease the tension.
So we see Archer kind of immediately turn Lucy away, kind of put his arm around her, and I'm imagining even kind of walking away right down the sidewalk a little bit, just to get her away from this. But Lisa and Randall are standing there, and they see this. What are we going to do?
Randall immediately kind of holds people back and says, "Don't touch, don't touch." Last time we went into a crime scene, we almost got blamed for the damn thing. But seeing that symbol or whatever on the arm, I'm going to use the tip of my foot to try to move her sleeve up to try to see what that is.
So you take the tip of your shoe, Randall, and you kind of slide it up, and you push the sleeve of her house coat up, and obviously carved rather recently, 3 letters, D A D, and then a line scratching it out. Lisa takes a picture.
Yeah.
I want to scan the house. Is it, when you say brownstone, do you mean like it shares a wall with other people
It
on
does,
both
yeah.
sides? Okay. Kind of scan the if there's anything that we see out of the ordinary, somebody inside.
So looking around, curtains are closed on the windows. You don't see me looking out the windows. You knew that she was on the 3rd floor because that's where you were headed, to her apartment. And like I mentioned, there's no windows open there. So by all measures, everything looks somewhat normal.
I'd also like to go ahead and snap a quick picture of the stab wounds.
Got it.
You know, just in case somebody decides that those have nothing to do with the cause of death.
Yep.
Cops.
So a car pulls up. It's a small Honda, black. And a gentleman in his mid-50s steps out. And Lisa and Randall, you're looking that way. You immediately recognize him. His name is Freddie Chu. He is also in the study with you. And he walks up and he says, "Oh my gosh. It's done. She's dead."
What's done?
She jumped. She jumped and I'm here and it's fine. And he just turns and starts to walk away.
Randall steps right in front of him and has him face the group.
And you look at his eyes, Randall. He stops. You look in his eyes, and there's no. You've had conversations with Mr. Chu before. He runs a small food cart in downtown Allentown. He's an awfully pleasant man. There is no familiarity coming from his face. He doesn't look at you and acknowledge you as a face he has seen before. He goes, "I have things to do. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me." And he's trying to physically like push you to the side. He does not have the physical strength to do that.
Yeah, I'm going to continue to stay in front of him and ask him more questions. Elaborate. What else do you need to do here?
Oh, I've lots to do. Lots to do. This reveals much to me.
What does it reveal?
He turns and looks back to you, goes, "I'm not wasting my time talking to either
Yeah,
of
you are.
He now is trying to jaywalk onto the street.
Do I recognize this demeanor that he has compared to maybe what Lucy or Archer was doing when they don't remember at their I don't lost the words on this, but when they were someone else, I guess.
Yeah. So let's take a look at your investigative abilities, and let's see. I think maybe science could apply. I don't know if you have any. You do have one in science. What else potentially? What else would I see? Maybe even social sciences. I don't see anything in social science. So if you want to do a science roll, we can do that.
Okay.
You want, or not a, I'm sorry, not a science roll. So I'll give you something for free on science because it's an investigative ability. There's no roll. Or I can give you a little bit more if you want to spend that point. So there will be value in spending that point.
I'll spend the point. I'll go down to 0.
All right. That'll bring you down to 0 science. So Randall, he physically it doesn't carry himself like you've seen Mr. Chu before. Mr. Chu always was a little bit not hunchbacked, but always kind of leaning forward a little bit. His shoulders always kind of seem scrunched up. He is fully standing straight up, and acting much younger than the 55-year-old man that that runs that food cart. And when he tried to physically move you, he obviously didn't have the strength to move you, but it looked like he thought he did, if that makes any sense, right? He just like acted like that. And as he walks away, you don't recognize, there's not a familiarity there, but it's a very clear that this is not how Mr. Chu has acted, talked, or walked, and all the times that you've interacted with him at the meetings for the drug trials.
How far away is our car?
You guys parked it right there, if I remember correctly.
No, we walked from Lucy's apartment.
That's right. It's over at Lucy's, right behind. Didn't we park it behind Lucy's to hide the car? That's right. That's right. He's stepping out into the street. Are we doing anything about it? He's crossing the street.
Guys, do we follow or do you want me to grab him?
I mean, if we follow, we're going to see what other business he has, potentially.
Is he coming towards us right now?
So he's
Lucy and I?
coming across. He's trying to cross to the other side of the street, not on the side that you are, not where Maggie jumped.
Stupid 1990s. No, find my iPhone.
If we're gonna do something, we need to do it now.
Lucy would suggest let's follow him. Let's not grab him while there's a body on the ground.
So he doesn't seem to pay any attention to the fact that you're following him. He crosses the street and he starts heading up the street, away from where Lucy's apartment is, away from where Maggie's apartment is. What kind of distance are we keeping?
You know what? I was going to ask Craig, with having Streetwise and being with my past, knowing the streets a little bit better than most, would I be able to use a point to maybe use those skills to maneuver through and keep an eye on him at all times and maybe keep 20, 30 yards distance from him at all times?
Yeah, I'd be willing to do that. So yeah, if you want to spend it, what do you have in your Streetwise right now? You have spent all your Streetwise, sir.
Can I assist him and spend my Streetwise for him? Wait,
you can just spend it, Lucy, and we'll have you use Streetwise to do exactly what Randall talked about. So
yeah.
Gotcha.
And Lucy, this is your neighborhood, right? So it makes even more sense for you to be kind of the lead on keep putting the tail on him. So you're able to keep a good 30, 40 feet away. And he is walking uptown, and he's walking. There's a huge overpass freeway that the street goes under, that passes over through the center, the interstate that goes right through the center of Allentown. He gets stopping at each time at the intersection, looking both ways. He gets to the on-ramp of the freeway and begins to walk up the on-ramp using the shoulder. Are we going to follow him up the on-ramp?
It's just
probably stop him at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are we close?
Wait, no, I was told you were 40 feet away.
Yeah, so we're
Randall's still going to
he's
continue.
not running, right? So if with a little bit of effort, if any of you wanted to get to him, you potentially could.
I say we keep trailing him at this point.
Onto the freeway.
It's 1990. It's 55 miles an hour then. So it might be okay. Sorry.
I'm still pretty sure it's illegal for pedestrians to be.
Yeah, there's no sidewalk.
I think we should.
Also, the potential that he's just gonna jump out into traffic is
high.
If he's.
let's catch up to him and stop him from going on the freeway. That's Lucy's suggestion. She's not going to
Yeah.
follow him
Yeah.
onto the freeway.
Yeah, I have no desire to go onto the freeway.
So you're going to let him go up the freeway. We're just going to stay close, but not go on the on ramp.
I mean, if Lucy will go with me, we can go stop him.
Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah.
All right. So we are going to have to do an opposed check. Let's go ahead and do athletics versus his fleeing. So who
Lisa
wants,
has no.
who wants to?
I got this.
You got this. All right, Lucy. Do you want to spend any points on it?
I'm going to spend 2 points.
All right. So that'll bring your athletics down to 3.
All right.
I'm a cheerleader, basically.
1, 2. All right. And
So you-
rolling.
You rolled a 5. The 3 plus the 2.
Oh,
Fortunately,
that's
rolls.
cool.
No.
He rolls a 7.
Bullshit.
So as you start coming up, he looks behind and realizes what's happening, right? And he picks up his pace. And you are closing the distance, but it's going to take a little while because there's no question that you're faster than this guy is, right? He gets to the top of the on-ramp, and it is morning traffic in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And Lucy, by the time you get to the top of the on-ramp, you see Mr. Chu step out into the middle of the highway, turns his back to the oncoming traffic, and collapses. You've got about 2 seconds if you want to do something.
Could I potentially run out there and try to pull him by the foot back?
So
That's
Wait,
I don't think.
you look you look to your left. There's a truck coming. So it would be in a successful athletics roll for you to get him to safety without being hit by this truck. But unfortunately, a failure puts you in danger as well.
You could try to flag the guy down and.
Yeah, I'm not gonna put my life in danger for this guy. I'm not gonna lie.
So he steps out, Lucy, and you get up to the top and you hesitate, right? You're like, but you look to the left, you see right before he collapses, he puts his hands up in the air and looks at the sky and he goes, "I told you, Dad!" Boom. And the truck hits him right after he collapses.
Oh my god.
You're
Did
at
we
0
all hear
stability.
Son of a
Lucy,
bitch.
I need a stability test. You have no points to spend.
Okay.
She should have points.
I thought she was.
Oh,
at
she
6.
does. That's right. I
Yeah.
forgot about the
She's
shrink
at 6
action.
now.
Oh,
She has
look at
6.
you.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna spend 2 points.
All right, that'll bring you down to 4. Or no,
Okay.
that'll bring you down to 4.
Oof.
Okay, cool. Cool.
All right, that's going to be another 3 loss. So that's going to bring you, Lucy, down to 1.
You know, that's
Lucy's
fine.
seen some shit.
She is.
So-
I am not okay.
Archer, Lisa, and Randall, you're at the bottom of the on ramp. You hear Mr. Cho yell. You don't hear what he yells, and you can still see Lucy, so you know that Lucy is safe. Lucy, you're standing there, and the truck is now it's a 18-wheeler. The truck has hit its brakes, but it's already long past after hitting. The body has been tossed into the center median.
Yeah, she's gonna have this screech of pure and utter horror of watching this happen before her eyes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and kind of like collapses on the side.
You guys can you see that Lucy is no longer standing, so you've lost visual sight of her.
Head up there.
Yeah,
me
definitely
too.
running up at that point.
Yeah, the three of you run up the on ramp. I don't know why that left me. You run up the on ramp and you get there, and you can see Lisa sitting on the shoulder
Lucy.
of the road, or Lucy too. Lucy sitting on the shoulder.
Just pretty much hysterical and kind of crying here. Yeah.
Let's get off this on. Let's get off this on ramp.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely help
can
her,
talk when we
help her
walk.
off. Yeah.
Okay, so you help her up, and you guys start heading back down the on ramp, back to the street. As you're going, you can look down the street, and you can now see there's a crowd of at least about 8 people that have now surrounded Maggie's body. The cops aren't there yet.
You know, Craig, at the top, was there anything noticeable in that direction? Why, at that point, I wouldn't go any further than that point at the top with Lisa, or Lucy, but I would look up and see if I saw a direction or something that is obvious that he might be going to.
Yeah, I mean, there doesn't seem to be anything. I mean, the other side is just the other direction of traffic, right? And looking up and down, you've got a mile to the next on ramp in one direction and a mile in the next one. So I don't think there's anything Randall can piece together as far as him looking for something or what.
Okay.
Is there some sort of like not alleyway but offshoot
Mhm.
near this on ramp? I feel like
Yeah, as you come down, we can have there's an alley right there because this is a series of brownstones in this neighborhood here. So as brownstones are in blocks, right? So yeah, if you guys want to kind of get away from the commotion and away from traffic, without question.
yeah, I think Arthur would try and kind of physically guide towards there,
Mm-hmm.
whether or not we want to.
So within a span of maybe 3 minutes, we've seen 2 apparent suicides. And I think this is the first moment when the 4 of you really start to kind of exhale.
Lucy's gonna say when they get into the alleyway, "Oh my God, are we gonna kill ourselves next?"
This guy was in our study, right?
Yep.
Oh man.
Oh, Jesus.
If you remember, Jennifer was a reported suicide as well.
Arthur's gonna look at Lucy. I'm gonna burn another shrink while I say this to try and.
She's not at 0.
She's
Not
on
a zero.
0.
Oh, she's not at 0. I forgot.
Just,
You're at
just
1.
wait when I fell another one. It's fine.
Okay.
I think
yeah,
we should keep Lucy towards the back of the group.
Yeah,
From now on.
but he's just gonna look at everyone and he's frantically trying to rationalize everything and just saying, "Look, as long as we're together, we can prevent any of this.
Yes,
we can.
I
This can. The only people who have killed themselves are alone. If we're together, we're stronger. We need to stay together. We need to stay together." And he's like kind of losing it a bit.
We heard him yell, just not what he said.
Correct. Correct.
Lucy would share. He yelled out, "I told you, Dad," and just said, "Blah," in front of the truck, and then got hit by the truck.
Because Maggie had Dad carved into her arm.
Yeah.
Do you guys think this is possibly Kyle related? And it might be a good idea to go visit that farm.
So for those of you that may not have catched early episodes, one of the people that they have come across is a person named Kyle. He was connected to Austin, which was the good close friend of the 4 of these players that died at the very beginning of the game. And Kyle has been keeps popping up. He apparently was in this first study, this unrecorded study that that Austin was in, the close friend that died. And he was also somebody who came up when they went to visit the doctor who was in charge of that first study. And there was mention of him. He committed suicide, and his parents live on a farm upstate.
It was shortly after he committed suicide that the other deaths started too, right?
So there was 2 deaths that happened before then, and the doctor told, and these were people that were in the first study, and the doctor told you that he found them both very suspicious. One of them was a woman who does not drive, who died in a car accident, and that was kind of what he said. Dr. Jones said that pushed him over the edge. And in both cases, this Kyle came up and demanded their pills.
Okay. Oh,
Right?
that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Right. And that's why he said he thought Kyle killed them until Kyle killed himself.
Okay.
And he made it very clear that he never thought that Kyle was disturbed, that should have failed right in the interview stage of the study, and that the executives at Blue Gold insisted that this guy be a part of the study.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Lucy is going to say, do we feel as if we go there?
It's not Kyle, it's Eric.
Eric.
Oh, we've been calling
Why
Kyle.
did I say
I
Kyle?
was flipping through my notes.
Yeah,
Like,
when we think of people that are disturbed, we think of people like Kyle, designers named Kyle, stuff like that. That tends to pop in our head. So it's a very easy mistake to make. A lot of weird people named Kyle.
Schemes.
We know a lot of.
I was
no,
so
it's
sure
Eric.
it was Kyle.
That's funny.
Eric. My
Yeah.
bad.
So that brings everybody up to speed that's watching. Kyle, by the way, Kyle in the chat says that's accurate.
I'm so sorry.
I don't think we have any other leads, do we? I think that's our.
But Lucy's like, but if it's this kid, then will his parents be safe? If I don't know, Archer's around, is he gonna stab the dad?
Have you had your pills lately, Arthur? Are you seeing results, Arthur?
he looks at everyone and goes, "Listen, I didn't mean any harm. Nothing's happened up until now. I don't know what's going on, and no, I haven't had my pills." He kind of says in like an assertive voice to Lisa. He's maybe a little salty that they were taking.
You stabbed him.
And then you said nothing happened up until this point. Oh my gosh, Arthur.
Well, okay, yeah. He
I
means
don't know for sure that
It's-
nothing
it's-
happened. No
it's-
one remembers the class.
it's ESL. He's English second language. Nothing happened up until this point. He's referring to the point where he
Where he
stabs someone.
stabs the doctor who's no longer a doctor.
Yeah.
Lucy will say, the parents are the only clue left over I can think of, but everyone's just like killing themselves. Is it even suicide? If it's not themselves, I don't know. You know, I'm gonna sit here. She's gonna have a seat in the alleyway and just breathe.
Yeah,
Like, I hate to say this, but I don't know if we'd be able to help them. We tried with Mr. Chu, and he's still
Right. We need to figure out a way of getting ahead of this thing, of whatever's going on. Because I don't want it to be either of us that's next.
And let's not forget about the 2 men. And the thing with the drill. Like, Blacking out is like at least the least of our concerns right now, which is wild to say.
To be fair, we survived the drill thing and the fat men.
Yeah, okay, yes, you're right.
Like my other suggestion is that we go to a bookstore so I can start researching. Like all my stuff is gone. Everything that I would have used, it's destroyed. So if we're going to look into the drill monster and the fat men, we'll have to go somewhere, which I'm okay with. Like, I know where we can go to find that information. But with the suicides, the only thing that I can think of would be to go speak to Eric's parents.
What if we split up in twos?
We could do that.
Okay.
I think Randall's going to volunteer to drive to upstate New York, I think is what.
It's upstate Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah, the foothills of the Catskills.
Yes.
Think that Arthur would probably pour over some books with Lisa if that's what we're doing.
I'll go.
If we're splitting in twos.
Yeah, if we're
I'd
and-
rather not do the book thing, so
Also, I think Lucy's going to be safer with Randall, honestly.
And it gives us a few hours of drive to hopefully gain some stress
Calm
back.
down.
Yeah, what time are we at right now? Are we?
oh, yeah.
It's
It's
morning.
afternoon.
Oh, it's afternoon now?
Yeah.
So we saw
Yeah,
that in broad daylight. Jeez.
Yeah. Is that the plan?
Is that
I
it works for me if that's
yeah.
Yeah, Arthur's kind of gonna play second fiddle. He knows Lisa knows where to find the info. So
All right.
Can I get a stability test from Lucy? And Lucy, this is not, you will not, if you fail this, you will not lose stability.
Okay. Wow, 1.
Oof.
We've seen this before. For Lucy, it's a fit of exhaustion, kind of a closing of the eyes, tilting of the head, just to kind of shake it free. What you see is Lucy's head go down and then come up. And she looks Lisa straight in the eyes. One by one, everyone until there's one, and she falls to the ground.
Randall immediately tries to save her from crunching her head on the ground.
Okay, you catch her without any difficulty. Lucy, you just feel exhausted and you just find yourself almost fainting. And Randall's right there to catch you.
Oh my gosh, okay. Oh, I am so tired. I can probably sleep in the car. It's all good. What?
Lucy, do you understand what you just said?
I'm tired.
Ah.
I look at the rest like,
Okay, what happened?
I'm not sure how comfortable I am with splitting up now.
Yeah. yeah.
Wait. Fill me in?
Lucy, you said some, I think you,
God damn it.
yeah, it happened again.
Yeah.
Now I do need a stability test from Lucy.
Okay. Okay.
Just kidding.
it's like a nail, like just driving the nail into your-
Shall I roll?
You can spend this time, right? If you wanted to.
She can spend
I
at
have
this time. If
one.
you want to spend your
The
one,
one left.
I got one left. It's like
And then Archer can help you.
Mechanically,
I could.
yes.
okay. I'm gonna spin again. I'll be at 0.
you are at 0, so you're going to be at a +1. That puts you at a 2.
No,
Oh my god.
no.
So that's going to put your stability at -2. It's a 2 loss. This is the first time we've had somebody go below 0 in stability. So mechanically, this is known as Lucy Jones is now losing it. That is her current status. Lucy Jones, I need you to roll a d6 for me.
Oh, there's more. Okay.
Oh, great.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
So
No.
Lucy, I'm going to tell you kind of mechanically what happens, but what I'm really interested in, Shadika, is from a role-playing aspect, what really happens, right? So you are panicked. You're in flight mode. You're likely to do something very stupid and ill-considered because you're running in pure instinct. So Randall tells you this. You now realize what you think may be happening to other people who have killed themselves at this point just happened to you, and it's not been the first time. What do you do?
Role playing wise, you're gonna see essentially Lucy is just gonna start crying, and she's realizing I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to kill myself, and she's just gonna run to pretty much go home.
So Lucy breaks free of all of you, pushes you all away, and she goes, I'm not going to, I'm going to kill myself. I don't want to kill myself. And she starts running. She starts running towards her apartment.
Randall is definitely following as fast as he can to try to calm her.
All right, so I'm going to need an opposed roll here. It's going to be Randall's athletics versus Lucy's fleeing. And Lucy, I'm going to need you to spend at least 2 fleeing.
Okay.
So it's going to put you at 3 fleeing. So why don't Lucy roll first? You're going to be at a +2.
Can I do? Do I roll athletics?
You will, yeah. So you're going to have to you're going to want to beat a 4.
Was I able to spend points prior to that?
You sure can.
Yeah, I probably would have at least done one.
Yep. You have no athletics points left, Randall.
Oh, man, my sheet is wrong. Then I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'll ask before I do.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so
yeah, that's your original sheet that you've got there. Randall, you're able to basically catch right up to her. She was going to go straight across the street. She looked both ways, right? So this is not like her trying to hurt herself. But she's also not being super, and you're able to grab right onto her. So you've got a hold of her.
I'm gonna grab her and I'm just gonna sit down and rock and say, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. I'd like to try to use maybe my one shrink to try to help her out.
You sure can.
To try to say, I'm here for you. There, we're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through this. Let's get more answers. I will make sure you're safe.
Yep. So you spend that one shrink. That's going to get Lucy up to 0. So she's no longer losing it. She is now stabilized.
Okay, it took her a moment to calm down in your arms because first she was like, it's not going to be okay. It's not going to be okay. I'm going to be the next one. It just constantly happens to me. And as you're like soothing her, she's going to be like, okay, you're right. Think about what Archer said also. Stick together. We have each other. It's going to be fine. At least for a little while longer. Okay. Okay.
You good? You good?
No,
Archer,
but I'm good right now.
Archer and Lisa are now there.
Archer's immediately dropping in with like a water bottle or some sort of beverage.
There was no water bottles in 1991.
Yeah, he's got something.
Bottled water didn't exist. It's a Faygo.
You're an old man. You got crackers in your
So
messenger bag. Old men always have crackers.
He has something.
Werther's original.
It's like saltine crackers or something.
Yeah.
And they're probably stale. But he leans down. He goes, Lucy, listen, we're gonna get out of this. We need to leave this. We need to leave. We can go. Let's go home. Let's get you back reacclimated. we need to reset here. And he looks at everyone. He goes, everyone. If I could spend my last 2 points of shrink.
You sure can.
A question, Craig. Am I able to use shrink on myself, or is it just on other people?
No, you can use it on yourself, Lucy.
Okay.
Let me first take care of Archer. So Archer, where do you want to spend those 2?
Yeah, I guess how many shrink do you have? Well, no, we're gonna do 2 on Lucy.
Okay, so I'll put
because I
Lucy.
feel like
Lucy, you're up to 4.
concerned.
So real quick, we've got Randall at 1 stability, Lucy at 4, Lisa at 6, and Archer at 6.
Okay, I won't use mine on myself. Yeah.
Okay.
We still have some hours here, so.
All right. So are we heading back to Lucy's apartment?
No. Lucy would say the bookstore. Like, what could books do? They can't hurt us, right?
And we're all together. I say it's
Yeah.
a library bookstore. It's going to be quiet.
If we stay all together, it's probably better, because then if one of us blacks out, there's 3 of us right there to stop them.
I agree.
Yeah. So let's just continue to the bookstore with Lisa.
So Lisa, you're fully aware of an occult bookstore. Do you guys want to take the car to get there? Because it's a bit of a hike, or do you want to take a city bus, or what do you want to do?
Might as well go get the car.
Okay, so you head back to Lucy's. You go back to the behind the alley. The car's there, just as you had left it. You unlock it. Lucy calls shotgun, because she always does. Lucy hops in the shotgun, and Arthur and Randall get in the back. And Lisa, you guys drive to this occult bookstore. We hear the bell ring, ding, as Lisa leads, and the 4 of you walk in. It's a young woman there. You would guess maybe late teens, early 20s. She's in a tie-dyed kind of full t-shirt material dress that goes all the way down to her knees. She's got several ear piercings. She's a very beautiful woman. She's a white woman, but her hair is dreaded, long and dreaded, and she's got obviously handmade necklaces and bracelets. And she's right there. And what's the name of the occult store? Come on. Anybody got one?
Portland's finest. She's got dreads.
Okay. Portland's finest. Yep. Portland's finest. Occult and books.
That's the name of my hometown.
So she walks through. That's ominous. You walk in. She goes, "Let me know if you need anything. Welcome to Portland's finest." Lisa, have you met her before?
I imagine we may have seen each other in passing, but I don't know if we.
You remember her name
No.
is Stacy. And she looks at you and she gives you that kind of retail look where I think you've been here before, but I don't know your name, so I'm not going to pretend I do. But so there's kind of a I think I know you. Yeah, I think I know you. Look exchange that goes between the 2 of you. What are we doing in the bookstore?
Lisa's gonna be looking for books on summoning and monsters and possession.
Okay. All right. So how are we going to do that? We've got research we can use. Occult studies would apply. And for each, if you've got 2 points in occult studies, Lisa, and you'll get something for nothing, something for 1, and something for 2.
You know what? Why not? Let's go ahead and spend 2.
All right. So I'm going to imagine this might take 2-3 hours. And everybody's looking, right? Everybody's going through the bookstore. But really it's only Lisa that has any ability to kind of sees this here, knows where to go next. And we see Lisa just frantically going aisle to aisle, pulling books down, sitting. And Stacy comes up. She goes, if you need any help, or if you want to buy any of these, just let me know. We can do it right at the front counter. I'll be up here if you need me. She's not being, she's being
just
probably
retail.
too polite. Yeah.
Customer service.
Yeah. She hasn't been hardened by the world of retail yet. So
if you're
Lisa,
not buying, get out.
Poor
you
stubborn child.
you kind of start on the summoning trail, and you come across several things about summoning. You find some Eastern European stuff on summoning. You find some Native American items on stuff. Nothing seems to be connecting. So then you say, okay, well, maybe the teleporting drill dog. So you start exploring, types of monsters, and with the idea of blinking monsters and the monsters that can displace, and that does send you down a path. And we won't go through everything because this is several hours. But I think the key items that you pick up is a monster similar to the one that you have encountered as you read about it has been described in a couple different places. So it comes up in some Eastern fables, comes up in some Germanic fables, as well as some Nordic fables. Very, very similar things being described. What tips you off is what comes out of the mouth in each of one of these. In each one of these, there's something unnatural. So you guys encountered a drill, and sometimes there's talk of a spear, sometimes there's talk of a spade, like a shovel, and it all depends on the different periods, right, in the different areas that you come across, and different translations. But roughly speaking, one of the most common things is a thing called the dark. And in these lores, it's this idea of there being another side, a reflection of our world, and a meddling from the dark, and a desire of the dark to come to our world. And that's what, and so that leads you down a path, and then you get to possession. And that's what really makes you think you're onto something, is you come across that's how the dark likes to get here, is they like to create conduits. They like to create vessels. And it's a constant gathering of worshipers and acolytes, cults that they try to gather, with the idea of setting up a body to be the gateway, to be the channel. All of it is built on a premise of being seducing humanity and people by immortality. So that's the promise that's constantly made, is that by allowing the dark and being the channel of the dark, you will live forever, and you will have unbelievable power. And that's the seduction. So of all the things you read over these several hours, Lisa, that's the ones that makes the most sense. That's the one that seems as close, not exact, but as close to what you're talking. Nothing about milky skinned men, nothing exactly as you're seeing it. Nothing about obviously pills or anything like that. There is talk about using drugs to try to reach the dark, but it tends to be more ritual. And everything that you've come across is the dark has never been successful. And one skeptic book that you come across just says this is unlike other things we're in. We question if things have been successful or not because of lore. There's never even been tales of the dark being able to bridge.
That's a lot to take in. And I was going to say Randall's reading like a Batman comic while she's doing
He's got one of them upside down.
Right. That just Randall doesn't read. He looks at pictures.
Yeah, I would say Lucy looked at a book and she's kind of just flipping through it like this.
Right.
Okay.
What I will do, one is Lisa, I'm going to restore one stability for you.
Okay.
I think that you find comfort and just finding something that relates. And then for Arthur, Randall, and Lucy on a 4, 5, or 6, each of you can also restore 1 sanity.
Craig, you know I've been
Or
rolling
stability,
for
sorry.
1s and 2s.
So each all right, so nothing for Nick, nothing for Cody. How about Shadika? All right. So it seems to
Bummer.
be only Lucy feels good about what has been discovered. And Victoria, if you want to relate this to them, you can, or we can just say that
Sure.
you did. That's
Yeah.
completely up to you.
Let's just say that as she finds stuff, she relates it.
So there's a small table, kind of sitting reading room in the back, I think, where you guys have all coalesced. And God bless Stacy. She's brought each of you tea. And is really being excessively nice, considering you've been in here for about 3.5 hours and haven't spent a dime.
On that note, Lisa's gonna dig out the like 3 or 4 books that have been the most helpful and go ahead and buy them
She's very appreciative.
because manners.
Lucy will say, do we think Austin was a conduit? Or he's just unlucky? Because someone, or maybe it's the kid Eric.
That was Eric is kind of where my mind was going.
Well, this is Austin's second study, and he's been the last one for 2.
That could be coincidence. And it could be that Eric is the conduit and Austin survived because Eric liked him. It could be nobody is a conduit. Like, based on everything we read, or I read, it's never been successful. So
Okay.
but now I really, really want to talk to Eric's parents.
The bookstore lady, Stacy, I wonder if she has any information on any local people looking into this as well, or maybe we should talk to her about this.
So when Lisa purchases the books, Stacy, does a bunch of small talk. Maybe Randall, you bring it up, hey, is anybody, looked into, this type of stuff. And she's like, no, I don't even know we had these books. My mom must have bought them and brought them in. She likes some of that really strange or older stuff. I'm far more into crystals. I've got some wonderful books on crystals and the power of crystals.
I don't know, anything with protection?
Yeah.
Well, I can see, and she's looking at Randall. I can see, it looks like you've hurt yourself. I see, here on the shoulder. If you want, I have a service. You can come here on Thursdays, and we do acupuncture, and I can tell your chi is definitely misaligned.
Stacy, is there just something I could buy right now to make me feel better?
So she kind of looks
anything protective,
at the front door, and she goes,
she has weed, doesn't she?
I mean, I've got a couple ounces I'll sell you.
Lucy's like, for how much?
Yeah, no, I say no.
Just open that
Lucy,
wall.
You're fine. Let's go.
Stacy, if you could, if your mom finds anything else about the dark thing,
pager.
Dang it, I don't have.
You have a phone number, you just don't have a phone.
My phone is dead.
Lucy,
like really.
Lucy would say I can give her my number and then the bar's number.
Sure. Yeah. You could just give us a call.
She, of course, yeah.
Yeah. So
awesome. Thank you.
Write the numbers down and pass it to her.
This could be totally off the wall here because we're in an occult bookstore. But once Arthur rewinding, once he hears possession, he's immediately thinking of some sort of disorder or some sort of manic state. Am I able to see? I don't. You could say no. Am I able to use
No,
any?
I know I can.
Am I able to use any research points to? I feel like he would relate that to like a smelling salts sort of deal, where he's trying to think of something that can, in his mind, snap someone out of this manic state,
Yeah.
or whether or not there's any sort of
there's
natural,
ammonia things.
God, I'm trying to think of whether there would be anything related to that or not, Cody.
old Nordic texts or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's old wards and things, but nothing directly tied to this dark. This dark is pretty obscure. It took Lisa several hours to get to this thing. So there's no mention of that. But wards, there's wards and symbols were often used for protection from evil in general, right? And if you're thinking more of along the lines of clinical, if you think of possession more as a a form of schizophrenia or things like that, there's really nothing to bring
Psychotic
somebody out
break.
of that.
Yep.
And unfortunately, and I could be wrong about this, but I don't even think there was much advancements in 91 around medication for it either.
No, he was just looking for any sort of old folk medicine, kind of like, because I
Not-
mean, smelling salts have been around since the 13th.
Yeah, nothing
century,
direct. Or nothing
Okay.
direct, Cody.
Cool.
She does have weed that smells interesting.
It could be
Arthur's-
That might chill the creature out a little bit.
91, that's some weak ass weed in 91.
Yeah.
That's the stuff I used to smoke.
It's from Afghanistan.
I imagine Archer's not religious in any sort of
No.
fashion. No.
Can before we go, can Lucy like while we're looking at stuff, look when she started mentioning the dark, like look up like different protective symbols and just kind of take a piece of paper and like draw it on and just carry it with her.
Let's see here, Miss Lucy.
Let's just go get a bunch of protective runes, just tattoos.
She's down because this is not her wheelhouse. She's like, sure. this
So
is
here's
great.
what I'll do. Let's do this. Arthur, if you want to spend a point of your research, let's find some Nordic runes that may or may not have applied. There's nothing direct there. But yeah, let's have Arthur do that and sketch them out on some paper, maybe, and give each one of you sketches of these. How does that sound?
Yeah.
All right, great. I'll drop your research down to 1, Arthur.
Cool. Tore him out of his beloved notebook. That's how you know he loves you.
Now what?
We're in the evening now, right? At least.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
5 o'clock.
Ugh.
I don't know if we want to head over there.
I imagine there's a bathroom in this bookstore. While we're there and seeing what Randall's seen so far, he still has his gun kind of tucked behind his back. He's going to eject all the ammo out of the clip and out of the chamber and reholster it on his back, just as a precaution, because that could be really dangerous if something took over Mr. Randall.
Big brain Randall.
Yeah, can't read, but knows how to get rid of ammunition. Oh wait, no, he was a combat medic. He knows how to read.
Yeah.
Just can't
Little
afford
iffy
glasses.
being a medic who
Yeah.
can't read.
Just pour some Robitussin on it. We'll be all right.
Drink some ginger ale.
That's
You're
Or
good.
ibuprofen, you'll be fine.
What do we do now?
We can see if we can get a motel, which Lucy wouldn't mind fronting that money if there's a hotel on the way there.
Yeah, it's about like a 4-hour drive, 3.5, 4-hour drive. But yeah, if you guys want to grab a motel, just let me know how close you want it to be to the parents' house.
Just
I'll
get
say
there.
like I want to say like 2 hours away.
I was gonna say about
Yeah, like
halfway.
halfway. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, halfway
me.
point.
Yep. So you guys get a motel room. You guys go into the counter. A kind of gross, thin human being is behind the thing. Wants to know how many rooms.
Uh, one
Yeah.
twin
Yeah.
bed.
Queens.
Two
Yeah.
queens.
So he's kind of looking and trying to mentally pair you up.
And a rollout cat. Do you have a rollout bed, uh, sir, ma'am?
Yeah,
That's what
I
we
guess
said.
I'll give you a roll out bed. Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah, it'll be extra.
Yeah, that's
It's going to be
fine.
$25.
Yeah, that's fine.
93.
So you guys get into the
91, Nick.
you get into the hotel room, motel. It's kind of a trucker motel.
Holiday Inn.
You wish. It's pretty gross.
No,
Not gonna lie to
I
you.
appreciate the reference.
Thank you.
And the rollout bed gets there. You unfold it immediately, just push it back outside because it's disgusting, and nobody would want to sleep on that. But there's a couch, and we can definitely hole up for the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
Figure
it.
maybe grab some fast food on the way.
Yeah.
Everybody will have everybody fed and drank. All right, so let's do a few things. One, I need a D6 from everybody. 4, 5, or 6 is what I'm looking for. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. 1.
Okay.
Randall will go next.
All right. Archer.
Right.
Nick's proud.
Okay.
Very
and
nice.
Lucy.
Lucy, come on.
All right. So just Arthur. All right. So Arthur, here's what we're gonna do. Let's go ahead and we're gonna set your reassurance back up to 1. And let's have your shrink up to 5.
Okay.
I think everything else is level. And then I'm going to put your stability up to 7.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, up to 8. I
8.
apologize. Okay. Lisa, you're up to stability 8 from 7. Randall, you're at 2 from 1. Lucy, you're at 5 from 4. But I'm not restoring for the 3 of you, just not a restful evening. The only person who seemed to get any real sleep is Arthur. So all of the other point spends we're going to leave where they are.
My
Because he's
poor
taking the
dragon.
pills.
I feel like we get in and Arthur immediately like slumps down on the bed, and you guys are like looking at him like, okay, he's taking up the entire
Really?
bed, so he gets the entire bed or something.
Yeah.
What an asshole.
Yeah. Randall looks down, sees that whole bed, sees the 2 ladies, and Randall just lays on the ground.
Yep.
Just
Well,
is what it is.
There's a couch.
There's
There's
a
a
couch.
couch, Randall. There's a couch.
If Arthur is the first one to sleep, what I'm really imagining is when he dozes off at first, everybody's like,
Oh,
and he doesn't move, he doesn't say
Right.
anything, right? You're like, oh, he's like sleeping. Okay.
This is regular okay sleep.
Yeah.
can we
This
can
is
we
not
put a
stab with a butter knife sleep.
can we put a bell on his wrist, like just in case?
A bell on the door.
A little
I think-
Yeah, we took the
bell
bell
if I
off the
need
door.
anything.
The bookstore.
Boy.
It's morning.
Ugh.
I hate everything about this.
This is gonna take the longest shower ever.
Randall just gives that evil eye to Arthur.
Who's running out to get
hogging
breakfast?
the
Or are you
bed.
guys going to go together?
I think we should go together.
Yeah, let's go together.
Yeah.
There's a Howard Johnson's. That's not too far away. So you guys go to the Hojo, get some terrible coffee, some breakfast.
Ugh.
Dr. Jones, I think, gave Randall the directions and the address for the farmhouse. The waitress who has more bedazzled than she does teeth explains when you show the address how to get here. At this point, we're in rural Pennsylvania, and for someone who's lived up north and lived up down south, I've yet to see anything in the south that rivals rural Pennsylvania. But in defense, rural New York is the same way. So things get pretty neck. What time are we
Lucy,
heading? Are we heading out to the farmhouse, do we think?
what day is it? What would be the date?
I am not exactly sure. I think this is probably day 4-ish, I'm thinking.
Okay.
So that's maybe puts us at like a Wednesday or a Thursday, I think.
Okay. She just making sure it wasn't like Sunday because maybe church is in
No, it's not
session.
Sunday.
Okay.
No, not a weekend.
Let's head out at noon. Get there at 2.
Sure.
Sounds fair.
So as you drive and following the directions between the address, the map, what the Hojo's waitress told you, the roads go from 2-lane roads. They degrade quickly. Best as you can figure, you're now maybe 5-10 minutes out, and it's a left turn onto a dirt road. And you start heading down this dirt road, and it's a long, winding dirt road. You can see points where you'd have to pull off, where people have pulled off so that other cars coming the other way could go, right? So there's no way for cars to come on either direction. And you travel on this dirt road easily for 4 miles. And it's winding through forests, there's fields. You finally get to a mailbox. That's a right turn off of this dirt road. And the mailbox matches the address. So you take a right turn. You head down. This drive is easily 3/4 of a mile long. And it gets into a pretty heavily wooded area. You then pull into the clearing, and then you see the house. And it's a very old 2-story farmhouse. It was probably painted white, but it doesn't look white anymore. It's grays and browns. The front porch is held up by 3 supports. Looks like there should be about 8 supports that hold up the front porch.
Mm-hmm.
There's a front porch swing. Only half of it's attached. In the front yard, you've got 4 different cars in different conditions, all of them on blocks. None of them have tires. Some of them don't have doors. Some of them have engines. Some don't. There's a huge barn to the left of the house. Easily 30-foot tall barn. At one point, probably painted red, but just browns now. Front of the barn to the side, there's a silo. By there is bales of hay, but they've got to be at least a season old because most of them are rotted. So it's not fresh bales of hay. You guys step out of the car. There's no other functioning cars in this front area. As you step out of the car, you hear dogs barking from behind the house. And they're barking very, very loudly. Let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break. We'll be back in 10 minutes. Welcome back from the break. I'm imagining all four of you kind of step out and take in the sounds. You hear the dogs barking. It's isolated to the back of the house. The dogs are not getting closer.
Lucy's gonna kind of say nope, and just go to the back of the line here.
You can stay by the car if you're more comfortable.
Nope.
No? Okay.
I think Randall's actually gonna, because of the awareness of these dogs, he's gonna kind of skirt this side to try to see if he can see like a fence or a gate or something, maybe a dog on a chain, something that gives me a little bit more warm and fuzzy about approaching.
So obviously this is not we can't even call it a lawn, right? It's just unkept knee-high grass at certain spots. There's no bushes or any type of real landscaping happening here. As you kind of slide to the side to try to get a kind of a peek at between, let's say, between the house and the barn, you don't have to go that far until you can see kind of a combination of wood and metal fencing that's behind the house, not attached to the house. And you can see two dogs in this pen barking from where you are. They look like pretty good sized dogs. They seem extremely agitated. But it looks like some sort of crap kennel, maybe.
Okay. Do I feel like at least they're somewhat secure?
The dogs are very interested in getting the hell out of there, and they don't appear to be able to.
Okay. I come back to the group and communicate what I see.
Could I use sense trouble to see if anything's wrong here?
Yeah, let's do a sense trouble.
All right. I like to spend a point in it.
Alrighty,
And let's roll.
that'll put you down to 4. Or no, that'll put you down to 7. Look at you with all that sense trouble.
Okay. All right. Let's see this.
So the place is unsettling, Lucy. It's unsettling. It is abject poverty. It is, there's some windows that are boarded. There's nothing that makes you feel like you're in immediate danger, especially when Randall tells you that it looks like there's just a kennel in the back. But I would be lying to you, even if you rolled a 6 or a 1. Like this place is not the element for any of the 4 of you. Probably the best feeling that might be close is it's pretty depressing.
Okay.
The one word that I think comes to my mind is it's sad. This place just looks and feels very sad.
Lisa's gonna go ahead and approach
The barn or the house?
the house.
Okay. So as you start walking up to the house, you do notice, Lisa, some very old beer bottles kind of chucked here and there. The first step is rotted away, so you have to kind of step up to the second step to get up the porch. The paint's peeling everywhere. There's a rusted metal, like rocking chair, like lawn rocking chair, with a table next to it. You get to the front door. There's a screen door, without a screen. And then a large paint peeled solid door. Where is Randall, Lucy, and Arthur?
Lucy Lucy's going to follow after Lisa because she's not staying by the car by herself in this. And the last time they went into a house and separated, it, bad things happened.
Randall's going to be not as close to the front of the door as the rest of the group, but kind of back, kind of keeping my eye around the side of the house, maybe if it's kind of on a corner of the house, kind of.
Yeah, I'll be coming up the stairs, but I'm curious if I can spend a point and invest, or not. Well, if I can use it, if I can spend a point and investigate procedure to see if there's any sort of forced entry or any sort of strange, any sort of strange markings or activity around the front of the house.
Yeah. How much do you have in investigative procedure?
I got 1 point.
Let's take a look here.
Something's not. The beer bottles are old. Something doesn't settle right with Arthur.
So Arthur, as you're walking, and Lisa's a little bit ahead of you, right? And Lisa, everything I've told you, you're seeing even before you get to the front porch. Arthur, you notice some blood. You notice blood on the second step, which is the first step, and it's old. You also notice some matted blood on some of the grass as well. And potentially, if you kind of continued on, you might see some more, but it would take you more towards the barn than the house itself.
So it's essentially leading towards the barn.
Towards that direction, yeah, to that side of the house, yeah.
Yeah, if I am close enough to Randall, he's gonna kind of non-verbally point to this to kind of draw his attention, just to be on alert. But he doesn't want to start like a fit yet.
I think I'm going to motion to the Lucy and Lisa to kind of stop, point out the tracks, and I'm going to walk towards the barn to get to cautiously to see what's going on before we start alerting people that we're here. Actually, I guess the dogs have already alerted us, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Never
there's
mind.
no way.
Yeah,
If there's anybody within a half mile, they can hear. And as best as you can tell, Randall, you've seen 2 of the dogs. There's got to be at least 4 dogs. What were you going to say, Lucy?
After what happened last time with Randall in a house alone, Lisa's gonna follow him.
Okay. So kind of the 4 of us kind of following Randall.
Yeah.
So Randall, you have no trouble kind of following the blood trail. Sometimes there's some blood on the rock, and it's not a huge distance. And it does seem to end at the side door of the barn, which is slightly ajar. The main barn door, where people would drive tractors in and out, is closed and bolted. What's odd about the barn door, as you get closer, is the wood frame is new as compared to the rest of the barn. It's freshly painted. The door itself is made of a different wood than the rest of the barn. And as best as you can tell, there's some sort of series of carved symbols all along this new painted frame.
That's not in a language, right?
Doesn't appear to be a language. It appears to be symbolic. So faces, very crude. Maybe symbols of some sort, but not any symbols that any of you are familiar with.
I would like to take some pictures.
Okay.
Flash off, please. No flash.
Yeah, no flash. It's broad daylight. Why would I have the flash on?
That's true. So I'd like to kind of peek around the opposite side of like where the other house was, like on the other side, to see if there's any windows, doors, any
To the
way to get my
barn or to the
eyes in
house?
on the barn. I want to
Okay.
go to
Before that, we've already had Lucy try to sense trouble, but Randall has sensed trouble, Lisa has sensed trouble, and Arthur has sensed trouble. Who wants to try to sense trouble? Lisa?
Yeah, I got 5 points. I might as well.
How many you want to
Craig.
spend?
Do I have any? My sheets
You
not
have
up to
currently
date.
have 2 left in your sense trouble.
Speaking of 2, let's spend 2.
All right, that's going to bring you down to 3 on sense trouble. Let's give it a roll.
Just 1d6.
1d6, and then you choose the adjustment to plus
Yep.
2.
Oof. Big oof.
I'll let one more of you do it. Archer's got 5, Randall's got 2.
Whoever does it, I do want to give them an additional point so I can spend 2 of my sense
You
trouble
sure
to help
can.
out.
Yep. So
Yeah.
we'll take you down to 5, Lucy. I'll give a +1 for either Randall or Archer.
Yeah, so it's your call, Randall. I don't want to step on your toes.
It seems like Randall would at least try it first.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more of him.
We can metagame it all we want, but yeah, I think naturally he would try to do it. So I'll spend both of mine and gladly accept the help from.
Yep, that'll be put you at a +3. All right, so you guys, that is 3 1s in a row, I think, incidentally. So there's a couple things that you notice as you're going, Randall. At first, you see a bear trap just off of the house, between the house and the barn, and it's armed. It's a large bear trap. So you're like, okay, yeah, there could be bears out here, right? But then as you continue going, you notice what looks to be something like a covered hole. So it looks like branches and things have been put to cover a good 5 foot by 5 foot wide opening between the barn and the house. And then by the barn, down towards the back of the barn, you see a mound. And not too difficult for you to get a first impression of what that mound is by its size and having buried bodies in the war. It looks like a grave. And there's a wood cross made by branches at the head of it.
This open or not, or this covered hole, is it butted up against the barn like it might be an underground access, or does it look like a trap?
It's about halfway. If you want to get a little bit closer to it, as you get closer to it, maybe kick some of the sticks that are covering it a little bit, you see sharpened wood stakes at the bottom of it, and it's about 7 foot deep. Very similar to some of those traps that you saw in Vietnam.
Is there any way to view inside this barn? Is there any windows that we've seen, or any holes in the slats? Or
yeah, there's places, if you want to peek through the walls, there's definitely places where the wood is not as square as it would have been at one point. So
I want to look in maybe the weakest point on a slat or something that try to look through.
Let's have that about halfway down towards between where that door is that I mentioned and the what appears to be a grave. You find a knot hole that's rotted out, and you're able to peek in, and there's some sunlight coming through the roof. It looks like the roof isn't about as bad a shape as the sides of this barn is. Don't see, it's not super clear, all right, because there's still a lot of darkness because the barn is shuttered up. You see what looks like a lot of farm equipment. So you see a thresher. You see some scythes. You see what probably was a tractor at some point, but it looks like it's been taken apart. Do you have mechanics?
I do.
I'm willing to. You want to do a mechanics roll for me?
Yeah, I'll spin that.
Okay, so that'll put you down to 0 mechanics to give you a +1 on the roll. It's obvious that these are non-functioning, but what you can tell is that they have been taken apart and put together, right? So the machinery you see is not. You can tell there's parts of a thresher here, part of a bale hayer, bale hayer.
Help.
So you're able to identify these things, but they're not together. They've been taken apart and put together in different pieces. You're only seeing about 1/5 of the barn from where you are, right? So there's another 4/5 of the barn that you're just not able to see from the hole. But you also don't see anybody nor hear anything.
I'm going to communicate that to the group. This knotted wood hole that I'm looking through, is that something that I might be able to pull on and potentially break to get access inside this?
Maybe with some tools, maybe with a crowbar or something. Yeah, I don't know if you could do it with your hand. It's not quite that rotted out.
And you said that the front door, the door to the barn, is bolted shut.
So but from the outside, right? So if you were to go back around to the large doors that are the front of the barn, you could easily, from what you could tell looking at it, easily lift the wood that closes it off. It's hinged, and you could easily flip it open. So by no means is it like bolted shut to keep anybody out.
Oh,
And the ornate door that I described was partially open, right? So it was cracked open, so it wasn't closed, not open enough to look into. But
Since Randall has said that he can't see anybody in there, Lisa's gonna real slow like open that door.
so you go back to the white painted door. You push
oh,
it.
we all follow her. Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Lisa, you push it open, and you see a lot of what Randall described. You see this machinery. It's really odd, though, for a couple reasons. On some of the machines, there appears to be goats, or goat carcasses to be more accurate, laid on some of the machinery, and laid in a way that it appears that they have been, in some cases, impaled, in some cases stretched. There's a good bit of blood, older blood. There's, with white paint on the walls, there seems to be symbols, iconography. As you kind of look a little bit further in, you see a mechanism of some sort on the far wall that appears, by its size and configuration, a way to essentially four-strung a person. So there's chains and shackles that apparently would allow you to hang a person by the arms and the legs and suspend them. And at the end of the barn is empty, other than what I'm describing. So we're not seeing hay bales, stuff that we would expect to see. There's a platform that was obviously built. There seems to be a table built and painted similar to the door. And I think the only way I can describe what you see in front of this table are pews. So a series of benches, about 4 on each side, all facing this. And altar and pews is what pops in your head.
Now take a picture before very slowly backing away.
I'm gonna whisper
That's-
to
Some fucked up shit.
Let's burn it down.
That's a really good way to summarize exactly what you saw.
yeah, I'm whispering to Arthur. You saw that lighter?
He kind of nods in agreement. I'm wondering, I don't think it would be history, but it could be in the off chance. Is this any sort of religion that he would have read about? Any sort of I guess it would be more of a mainstream.
Cult.
Right. Let's narrow down our
Narrow down which
Our
cult.
options.
because it seems like they're mimicking at least some sort of mainstream.
It's not anything you recognize. And even Lisa, nothing tied to the books you read.
Yeah, is there any sort of like
But that said, it does look religious, right?
okay. Yeah, he's gonna if there's any sort of like stray pipe or stray mechanical thing, he's gonna grab it and look at it for a moment, immediately look at Randall. He's putting it back down the ground and he's going, this isn't gonna end well.
To be fair, at least it looks inactive currently.
Can I try and sense
Um,
trouble
Lu-
after you?
Lucy's gonna pull out
After
her
you do
bat from her backpack.
What are you pulling out of your backpack, Lucy?
Her bat. She,
Okay, yeah,
just in case.
sure.
I'm grabbing one of the
Um,
sides. That's
Yeah, Archer, we can do a
Right.
sense trouble if you want.
Yeah, I would like to. I'll spend 2 on it.
Very nice.
Nice.
So, Archer, you get a feeling as you look into this barn. You get a feeling of ritual, but really where the sense trouble comes from, where the hair on the back of your arm comes up, is you take a hard look at these contraptions that have been reconstructed throughout this barn, and you start to piece it together. These are torture devices. These are torture devices. It appears that some of them have been tested on some goats. You don't see any people, but these have been deliberately built to stretch, to impale, to dismember.
Yeah, he'll link that to his history ability and kind of put 2 and 2 together with historical torture devices and
Yeah, very
communicate
medieval.
that. Yeah. And he looks, and it's almost like a pathetic look. He's looking at Randall. He does not know what he's out of his element. I don't know if he's experiencing any sort of withdrawals or anything, not taking his medicine, but he is just he doesn't seem to be himself.
Yeah, and to be clear, Archer, and really this is true for all of you because you all stopped taking the pills. We're at almost a day or two now for most of you, except for one, who we won't name. There has
We all
been
know who it is.
there's been no withdrawals, right? So it doesn't appear that the drug was addictive in any way.
I was thinking something much worse, but okay.
Yeah, he'll convene everything, about the torture devices, and there's just a really bad vibe coming from in here. He wants out, but I'm sure.
I don't want to go in there either. So
Lucy's going to just say, "Okay, I think we found the bad guys." I I'm fully on board that Eric is like the evil spirit here, and we probably want to get out of here. Because I mean, like, look at all of this.
okay, but I kind of want to go in the house and see if there's like diaries.
Fuck. Okay.
As she
I'm
says
very
that,
sorry.
Arthur picks up this like pipe or something
Keep
again.
the pipe.
I can roll for preparedness.
No, you can pick up a
Yeah.
pipe.
He's like barely gripping.
So this probably is a good point to point out a really neat mechanic in the game. So each 4 of these people needed to, when they made their characters, needed to create what I have fallen in love with for a horror game, and I'm going to be using in other horror games that I run where it's not present, and that's called a risk factor. Essentially, each of the 4 of them had to come up with what is the reason that you are the person that gets yelled at by the audience in a horror movie. What makes you open the door, what makes you go in the house. So let's do a real quick recap on your sheets. If you guys want to bring up your sheets real quick, Lisa, we can start with you. What is your risk factor?
My risk factor, basically what I wrote is that I have to get the story. I have to have all the details for the flashiest headlines. I have to know the answers.
Archer, what's yours?
Yeah, his main one is he's going to go out of his way to he might comfort, but he's also observing erratic states of mind while avoiding physical contact.
What is Lucy's?
She has a deep desire to be praised.
And Randall's?
The need to save innocent lives.
So I think that safe to say, at least we know for sure Lucy's risk factor is being triggered here. I would imagine Archer's might be triggered at this point, as well as Randall's. So
Randall is gonna do a scan. Is there any kind of flammable gas can or anything in this barn that's visible? Alcohol.
yeah, you find there's gas cans.
I look at Lisa and say, "Are you sure you want to go to the house?"
I really do.
All right.
I really do.
That's all I need to hear. I'm going to go grab that gas can, and I'm going to make a nice little trail from one side all the way down out to kind of have a fuse, if that makes sense.
Sure. Are we staying outside of the barn?
I imagine we're all going outside the barn. Yeah. And good.
Oh wait.
I don't plan on lighting it yet, if that's what you're getting at, but I want to have that as a backup plan. If shit gets real, we have this as an option to probably do at least on the way out if nothing happens.
A question. Because Lucy feels very weird. They have dogs barking and no one's here. Can I use notice to see if she feels like they're being watched at all?
Yeah. Let's see, Lucy. There'd be information for free and information if you spend 1.
I'd like to spend 1.
All right, so that'll take you from 3 to 2. Investigative ability, so there's no roll. I just give it to you. That's part of the beauty of the gumshoe system. Lucy, your head's on a swivel. It's been the whole time. Especially once Randall pointed out the pit trap, the bear trap. And you look up to the farmhouse. And it happens quick. Someone was looking through, and as soon as you look up, hand goes away and the curtain closes back again.
I'm gonna, cause I know Lisa is like headstrong and she's probably walking to the house. I'm gonna like grab her arm and say, "Someone's in the house watching us."
Do I have this gas can in my hand when she sees this?
Yeah.
Oops.
Oops.
We have an option here, guys.
I guess we knock and be polite then instead of just breaking in.
Randall's going to stand right by the gas can and the thing with the lighter visible as a intimidation to do the right thing, or to try to get them to do the right thing and not attack my friends.
Sure. Are we knocking, Lisa?
Yes.
I am like,
This hurts me so much, but yes.
I'm like at the bottom of the steps.
I think Arthur would be kind of side by side with Lisa. He's intrigued at this point.
Oh.
He's noticed there are some sadistic people here.
So
Are you?
third time, Lisa. No response.
I want to call out using reassurance. We know you're home. We just want to talk, if that's possible.
Yeah. No points to spend.
Okay.
No answer.
Randall's going to yell at the top of his lungs. Go ahead, Vic.
I'm just thinking, would it be possible for me to use impersonate and say that we're the cops?
Sure. Yeah. What do you have in impersonate?
2.
Okay, I'm not going to make you spend. What do you say?
We're investigating a series of deaths in relation to Blue Gold, and we'd like to talk to you.
The only thing you hear after saying that is you hear a door close forcefully. And as best as you can tell, Lisa, it happened on the second floor. Like a slamming.
Okay.
Can I pick the lock?
Is the front door
locked.
even locked?
Yeah. Wait,
Going in.
wait, it's not locked?
It's not locked.
Not locked.
Oh, okay. Shit.
You don't lock doors out in the country.
Gonna open the door and just shout hello. So walk inside.
So you open the door, Lisa, and the front hall area, oddly, but unsurprisingly, in its own way, matches the outside. Not just the outside of the house, but the yard, the barn, the cars, the rug below your feet. There's a runner that's over scratched old wood floor, like farmhouses built, in the late 19th century, which is what you'd guess this is. The ceiling is just uncomfortably low. There's furniture, but it's old. And even when it was new, it was not that nice. And as you look down the hallway, you can see what is likely a kitchen at the far end. You also see a staircase leading upstairs coming off of that main hall. I'm having you not step in yet. This is just what you see as you open the door. It being generous, the place looks unkept, neglected.
And we're sure about going in here? Like,
Randall's waiting for a sign from you all to let me loose.
With his unloaded gun.
Oh yeah, I have a Zippo lighter in hand. That's all I've got. That's
Okay.
I meant to get a side from the shed, but
I think if are we entering, Lisa? I think we're I have something that's going to happen if we enter in my head. It's but Arthur is
I'm so dumb. I'm gonna
Me
go
too.
inside.
So Lisa, you step in past the threshold. Archer's right behind you. Getting inside of this house, you smell the mold, the dampness, the dust. There appears to have been pictures along this hallway, partially because you can see where pictures were because the paint's a little bit different. So you can see the shadow right of where a picture was. In other cases, you can tell that the pictures have been physically ripped apart. In some cases, there's frames on the ground. There's a rotting smell coming from the end of the hallway from that kitchen area. You look in the room to the left, and it's a living area. There's a very old TV there, at best late 70s, early 80s. It's at least 10 so years old. It's off. The screen on it's kind of dusty, actually. There's an old armchair that looks like maybe rodents had gotten to it, based off of how it's been torn, and the back of it's got holes in it. The place smells. It smells old. It smells rotten. Moldy.
the moment Randall realizes that his plan did not work at all, he puts the lighter in his pocket and goes running towards the door to try to catch up with the group.
Where's Lucy?
She's like behind both of them with a bat, like kind of just, woo, we're doing this, let's go. And she kind of like waits for Randall as well.
Lisa's lost her goddamn mind, but
We all have. Look at us.
oh god.
So I've got all of you in kind of that front 4A, right, where that hall. That's where I have you.
Is there a rusty kitchen knife or something there in the foyer, or something that I can grab to protect? A table leg or something I can break?
Yeah,
Umbrella?
we can have a broken table. So if you want to grab a table leg, you sure can. We'll
Sure.
treat it just like a bat.
I like it.
Are there any drawers on anything that might contain like a journal or anything like that?
So you pull out the drawers. Most of them are empty. Some of them have bugs in them.
Great. Perfect.
Which
Fantastic.
is really kind of, but no, no signs of books or paper.
Okay.
I want to walk toward the kitchen to see what that smell is.
Yeah, kitchen.
Okay. So the four of you cautiously, I would imagine keeping a left eye on the stairs, right? Because of what Lucy saw and what you guys heard. You kind of walk past the stairs, and you go into the kitchen. And it's disgusting.
Okay.
There's leftover food that's molded and rotted on plates. There's stacks of dishes in the sink, filling and overflowing the sinks. There's Chinese to-go boxes that have been ripped to shreds by rodents. You hear scuffling and swear that you see a rat. It's old. It's disgusting. The fridge door is open. There's a glass bottle of what was probably milk, which is now just green.
Is there a calendar or anything in the kitchen?
Yeah, let's have a calendar there. The calendar shows July 1985.
Okay. All right.
Randall playing catch up and being behind the group heading towards this kitchen, keeping the eye on the stairs. I think he's going to start signaling, if we're going to do this, we need to do this. Do we want to go upstairs? Is this the right move?
Probably not, but we're gonna do it anyway.
All right. Shall I
Right.
go first?
I apologize sincerely.
I would say, Lisa, you may want to take lead, and we'll back you
Yeah.
up.
Sounds good to me.
These people seem, there's some very strange hoarding techniques going on here. There's something there's nothing recent, right? It all looks old.
Word.
I imagine
Following you, Lisa.
I imagine Arthur is like turning and sees like a bug or a rat crawl, and he like smacks at it, and
Scares the hell out of everybody else.
glasses just shatter, and he drops his lead pipe, and he's had enough. He
Arthur.
can't deal with this.
Arthur, stay close. I'm gonna like hold my hand out for him, like
Emotional support.
yeah.
He has nothing in his hands right now. He's just on edge.
Okay, I'm gonna have one bat in my hand, and then I'm gonna take Arthur's hand.
Gotta go upstairs now, I guess.
So we start heading upstairs. Lisa first, Lucy next. It sounds like Arthur's third, and Randall's in pulling up the rear as you go head up the flight of stairs. It looks like 2 out of every 3 supports for the railings are gone. You put your hand on the railing and you feel like just a good shake, and the whole railing would just come right down and fall to the first floor. As you work your way up the steps, the smell is subtle at first, but step by step, it fills your nostrils. It's a mixture of that tinny metal smell of blood mixed with the smell of feces. And as you work your way up the steps, it gets stronger and stronger. Really probably to the point where either some of you do out of instinct or you're tempted to. So it's not enough to make you sick, but it's pretty effing gross. Slows you down a little bit. You get yourself to the top of the steps, Lisa. And there's considerable amounts of blood at the tops of the steps. And looking at it, it's not fresh. It's dark. But it's not completely evaporated and solid yet either. There's a stickiness to it. Randall, your best guess, it could be as much as 2 weeks, a week or 2 weeks old. And it's a person's amount of blood. And there's no way to get onto the top landing without stepping in it.
So, like, we're talking an amount of blood that you would not survive.
Exactly. What we do need to figure out, though, is who's got the stability to deal with that, the smell and the obvious scene of a death. So let's start with Let's start with Arthur with your 8 stability.
I'll spend. Shit, I'll spend 2. If I'm gonna
Okay.
be unlucky, I'm gonna be unlucky.
That puts you at 6. That
Yeah.
puts you at a +2 on your roll.
Okay, didn't
All
need it.
right. So next, let's go to Lisa.
I will also spend 2.
All right. That brings you down to 6.
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna go to Lucy next. You're at 5.
I'm gonna spend 2.
Brings you down to 3. Get a +2 on the roll. Randall, you're at 2.
I think it's worth just spending the 2 and see what I can. So I'm gonna go down to 0.
Okay, so that'll put you at a +2. Man, that was a good spend. That puts you at 4. So I have you not on the landing yet, where all of this blood is, but you're all at the top of the steps, Lisa in front. Lisa, to your left is a door. Based off of what Lucy told you, based off of the slamming you heard, it's that door that was closed. It is that door that leads to the window that Lucy saw. And then to your right, there's a couple other doors down the hallway.
Randall's gonna sneak up and try to grab Lisa's shoulder, and it's not too late to leave. This is way out of our wheelhouse. We have no reason, there's no reason to be here. We need to get out of here and burn everything we can.
But then I won't know.
I will put a shoulder on Randall's, a hand on Randall's shoulder, and say, "This is the closest. Though I don't want to be here. This is the closest clue that we have to figuring out what's happening. In all honesty, because I think if we don't go through with this, we won't make it. Either way."
I think it's at that moment when Lucy says that something that I think Randall knew subconsciously goes to the front of his mind. And that is how similar what happened to Dr. Chu or Mr. Chu was to what happened to you, Randall, with the train. I think that is when you really maybe acknowledge it. I mean, that of all the 4 of you, maybe you tried to kill yourself.
And while I'm trying to give like this, "Oh, we're gonna die anyway" pep talk, I want to I want to spend 2 strength on Randall to give him stability, because he should be at 0, right?
He is at 0, yeah. So you want to spend 2 shrink? We can do
Yes.
that, Lucy. All right, that's going to put you at 3. Randall, that's going to bring you up to 4.
We weren't looking at a pool of blood. I'd give you a big old hug right now.
I think Arthur is absolutely horrified here. He has like this ratty old sports coat that he probably got at like Salvation Army or something, some secondhand store. He's throwing it over the pool, taking it off, throwing it over the pool of blood, just trying to disassociate from the entire situation for everyone. And he's looking and he nods at Lucy and he goes, This is the only lead we have. This is the only.
Yeah, like, and
We've seen what happens to the others.
we got
Do
down on this
we-
hill.
Do we want to confront the left door first, or do we want to come back to that?
We have reason to believe that this monster. We heard the door shut, right? Or we heard a
Mhm.
You
door
heard the
shut.
door slam, and if whatever was in the window that Lucy saw, that is the window to the room to the left.
I'm going to signal to Lisa, I'll stay here. You guys go. I hold on to this just in case if this thing comes out. If you want to look at the
I
rest of the rooms.
honestly, everything we've kind of heard about the left room is someone trying to hide.
Your call.
Let's deal with the left room.
How are we dealing with the left room?
Gonna call out hello and try to open the door.
So you walk up to the door. You instinctively put your hand on the knob. It's not only not locked, but it looks like it's not functioning. Like if you may not even have to turn the knob it might just need to be pushed. What do you yell out?
Just hello, we're not here to hurt you.
Okay. It was a poor imitation of an older woman. My poor imitation. It was an older woman.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. We were like, whoa,
Craig.
bats up.
Just give me your gun, Randall. Okay, just gonna slowly open the door and peek in.
So you push the door open, Lisa.
I am a human woman.
It's a bedroom.
Okay.
The first thing you see is a stripped bed. Looks like a full-sized bed. Bed stand, stuff on the bed stand. The door continues to open. By the window, Lucy's window, we'll call it. There's a chair. There's the back of a woman in the chair. She's in what looks like a nightgown, frock, house coat, muumuu type thing. She's got long, gray, unkept hair. Next to her, you see like a shallow pan, and that's where the feces smell is coming from. You can see it. And the old woman turns around in the chair, makes eye contact with you. She's a woman that has seen rough years. Really hard to guess how old she is. She looks late 70s, but she looks road hard. She looks sad, but she's smiling. And she looks at you, Lisa, and she goes, "Oh, I can't believe it. Eric's home." Let's cut to credits. We'll be on the other side.
Oh, come on.
So when you're a GM running a horror game, there's few better feelings than when you end a session that all 4 of your players go, oh, which is exactly happened as we cut to credits, which makes me really happy. I got to start with you, Victoria. First of all, obviously, this is, has it been intense? What's happening for you as a player?
This session has been really, really intense, just with everything, last time, Maggie jumped off the building, but we kind of dealt with the aftermath this time. And then Mr. Chu stepping out into traffic. And gosh, poor Lucy. And then just everything with the farm. It was so much.
Yeah.
And it's like, after the barn, I, as a player, was like, the smart move would be to burn everything and leave. But also, if I want to know what's going on, answers are probably in the house.
Yeah, and this is where you get the tough thing about playing it in a horror RPG, right? And it's part of what I like mechanically is done a little bit in Fear itself. I think, Shadika, you were bringing up very legitimate, which is like, we need to figure this out, because if we don't figure this out, we all might be dead. So I really appreciated how well all 4 of you bought into what we were doing. And I say that not like that, not burning down the house or anything, not getting in the car and leaving. And I think that, for people who play horror RPGs, that's a little bit kind of the unsaid buy-in, right? That this is what we're doing. So, I appreciate that. And I think everybody did a really good job. What's Victoria's gut feeling about this old woman?
Gosh, I don't know. Like, I feel like it could go so many different ways. Like, she's just an old lady with dementia who's been living in this house and doesn't understand what's going on. But then, like, it was brought up that she's not living off this rotting food in the kitchen. Either somebody's bringing her something, or there's something going on with her. And like, I'm deeply unsettled by the Eric's home thing, especially in regards to the like staring right in my eyes deal, because like, fuck. Am I Eric now? I don't want to be Eric. Please don't make me Eric. But yeah, so I don't know. There's just so many possibilities that I haven't decided what my theory is yet.
How about for you, Shadika?
Oh my god, this is fucked. Old lady is evil, clearly. Something's wrong.
You've made the decision, right?
She's a part of all this. Yeah, old lady in like this Texas Chainsaw Massacre Amityville horror house. You're absolutely evil. Shadika would have called the cops and left. But
Shadika would not have called the cops throughout this entire thing.
Lucy wouldn't have called the cops.
True.
Lucy
You're right. My bad.
Is up there convincing Randall that no, we need to
check it out.
Sacrifice ourselves for this because we're gonna die anyway. Oh my gosh, this is intense. Absolutely in love with it. I did not think that the farmhouse was gonna be like a good lead. We're just all right. We're gonna talk to 2 crazy people that just abuse their son. That's it. And then, woo!
And then weird torture Devices in the barn.
and and still two crazy people that probably abuse their son. Like,
That's good.
oh
That's a
man,
good point, though. We only barely know of one crazy person, right?
right? And
But wow, you got
Austin,
it brave.
I'm sorry, I try to blame Austin. He's completely innocent in this. Eric clearly is like the evil spirit that's trying to come back. That's all he got. Um, Grandmom is evil. This house is evil. This situation ain't it?
I
Where are
hope she
you?
has nothing to do with it.
Where are you, Nick, as a player?
Oh, this is trying to think what Randall would do in this situation in protecting his friends and the innocent and seeing what he saw. The only thing that he could do, especially with no freaking bullets in his gun, is to threaten burning their torture room on fire, assuming that there was they. And then we come across this grandma in a rocking chair. Yeah, there's a lot more that's coming in, and there's layers, and it's building even more. So I'm really liking how this is unfolding. I really liked Vic's character coming out, and uh, this was her. This was your
This was
your
Lisa's episode. Yeah,
episode. This was fantastic.
yeah. No,
I
I agree.
loved it. You jumped in, took the lead, and this was like your wheelhouse, her character's wheelhouse for everything that's happened. And uh, I found it fascinating.
What's your gut on the old woman?
Oh, I want to burn her. I don't care. No, my protection is she lives in a house with torture devices next door. She's not innocent. There's no way. You're guilty by association. My focus is to make sure that these three are safe and there's no suicides within our group. I'll do whatever I can to try to make sure that that happens. And sometimes that means doing bad stuff. I mean, Randall was in the war. He had to see and do things that he didn't like, but
Yeah,
was for potentially the idea of the overall good or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I think, his mindset in all of this. And he's also trusting his friends more, not just stepping over them and trying to be the hero. It's okay, let's try, and I'll work it out this way and hold back. But if I need to come over with a bat and hit this old lady, I will.
a man's ready to hit an
First
old woman. All right, Cody, how we doing?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah?
If I could retcon anything, it would be, Arthur's not gonna hit a rat or something at that point, but he sees this old woman and he sees the state of mental decay that she seems to be in. I guess something clicks in his mind. I don't know if he relates to it or something. If he just feels some sort of way, but I feel like he would just drop his weapon, and he's kind of, all of his defenses are lowered.
I could imagine, based off of what we've learned about Arthur, that an immense amount of pity and empathy would exude from you, seeing the state that this woman is living. I can definitely see that. So real quick before we wrap up, Cody, you have been running Fear Itself locally. Can you give us a little bit of a look and feel on how that's been going, how your players have been taking it, and how it's been GMing Fear Itself?
Yeah, it's been fun. Mishmashing a couple of different ideas and monsters and stuff, and I'm sure you know that the players never do what you think they're gonna do.
I've got 5 sessions to prove it.
Yeah, and now I know exactly how you feel. But it's great. It's a very organic system where it's very easy to riff. You can just play off the top of your head, and something that you play off the top of your head, what I found is that it could, I don't know yet, but that random little thing that someone wants to use this ability for, you quickly think of something to apply it, to apply that ability to, that could become a core clue in some way, and that's awesome.
I agree, and there's a GM philosophy. This is not mine, but it's one I subscribe to. Is reward your players for spending the points. And when I say spending the points, I mean spending the points in character creation. Right, your players when they create the characters are spending resources and putting them in places, and you want to reward them, whether it's D&D, whether it's Call of Cthulhu, whatever game you're playing. You know, as a GM, look at what your players tell you so much with the characters that they create. And you know, I'm basing this on one of the scenarios in the back of the second edition, the most recent edition of Fear Itself. I would love it if Gareth and Robin put out some more stuff. They haven't put any new stuff out in a little while, which makes me either suspect that that's the end of Fear Itself, or maybe we've got a Kickstarter coming someday soon, because I'd love to see a new edition of this, even if it's just a new collection, because mechanically I'm not sure what I would change about it. But you know, listen to your players. The players are telling you when they create their characters what kind of game they want to play. And it was very interesting for me to base this off of something, but to change it and cater it to Randall, right? And to you know, Victoria made it very clear to me that she wanted research, right? She wanted to have knowledge and to acquire knowledge, and you know, and reward them for that. I'm a firm believer in that. So that's a kind of a GM tip, and it's again not mine. It's one I've been given, and I'm learning to get better about doing. And the only other point I'll make real quick too is, you know, we joked about Cody, you know, your players never do what you think they're going to do. You guys have not done what I thought you would do, and not what I've planned to do, but the system is built around a concept of core clues, that there's core clues that at some point your players are going to need to learn. But what I love is it doesn't necessarily happen in room 42B. Right, you're given the power of the breadcrumbs, and you get to decide where they go, and you can let your players play and give them room. And I think I've said it a few times on Twitter, I feel like this game has really allowed me to level up as a GM, because I think more than any game I've run, I have given my players more room to just play, and not and I attribute that to the quality of you guys as well as the system. And the way that the system is built. And I'm really noticing this as a modern way to build scenarios. Another place where I'm seeing this happening is the stuff out of Free League. If you look at Vaesen, if you look at Forbidden Lands, and if you look at Alien, that's how those scenarios are written as well, where they say, look, there's these locations, and this is what's happening in these locations, and here's the core ideas but it's not a linear thing. It is an event location way to build this stuff. And man, as a GM, I love that it's built to allow the players to play, which I really enjoy. All right, did we schedule session 5?
Yes.
I feel like we did. When did
October
19th?
19th.
19th.
Right?
October
Okay.
19th. Okay, so we're gonna have
It's not
session
this
6.
Thursday?
Session 6 next month. Fantastic. This was I feel like this every time, but I think this was our best session yet. I think everybody just did a knockdown job. So let's do a quick raid, and let's see. Oh, you know what? Friend of the show, Jared Logan, is the Stream of Blood. They're playing, it looks like it looks like it's the werewolf game that he's
Ooh.
this is cool.
Ooh.
So he's running a werewolf game with his high school players. So these are the players that he played with in high school. They used to run Vampire and all of these old things,
amazing.
and he gathered all of his old buddies from high school, and he's now running it on stream. So we'll go see those guys. Thanks to everybody that's been watching, and thanks to you guys. This Thursday, you get to meet the lesser scoundrel. That's Victoria's husband, and we're going to be playing some icons. So we'll see you guys Thursday. Take care.